Hello. You are listening to the Carroll Connection with your host, Jared Carroll.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Carroll Connection. I am your host, Jared Carroll, back for another great episode. I want to shout out my last episode was episode 88, titled Feeling Stuck, solo episode. It's been a crazy last few weeks. I've had some cancellations, some COVID running through my family, so I haven't really been pushing out content as consistently as I want to, but back with another great guest, a return guest, which is fucking awesome. That shows that at least I'm doing something positive with my podcast. Bringing in John Sisto, who was on episode 47. So if you guys haven't listened to the original episode, go check that out. But this is episode 89. What's up, John?
What's going on, guys? How are you?
Good to have you back. So normally, obviously, with the older episodes, I would have people kind of talk about who they are, what they're doing currently. But since you've been on, kind of catch everybody up on what you've been doing.
So I still own the detailing company out of Providence, Last Ride Detailing. I'm looking at getting back onto the fire department. So that's something that I've been processing, going through all the medical backgrounds and getting all my licensing back and everything. And we're looking at opening another business and potentially expanding the detailing company down south.
Hell yeah. It's been a busy fucking man.
Yeah.
I want to talk about a little bit with First Ride. What was the original first year that you started the company?
So we started it at the beginning of the pandemic, January 2021.
Yeah, so because we did our episode, obviously, let me think about that, was February of 2021.
Yeah, so it was actually about a month.
Yeah,
a little over a month.
Talk to me a little bit about what you've learned in so this is technically one full year of doing the whole business. So tell me what you've kind of learned as you've been doing this entire process of running your own business.
It's not easy, that's for sure, but it's a lot more rewarding, you know. The biggest thing is feeling accomplished and feeling respected and appreciated for your work. And as I've grown, I've gotten more NFL football players. I have a full police department and full fire department. I'm working on switching more commercial, doing a little more commercial jobs. So just being able to see that my work is taking off and people are noticing it, and regular civilians, regular people are impressed with my work, and other companies are starting to fear my work. And that's what I'm really happy about, because that means that I can play in the big leagues. And that's what I've always wanted to do. You know, I always kind of pictured this is going to be a side hustle into a job or into a career that I can make my own hours, do what I want, stuff like that. And it's transitioned from doing what I want to being an owner-operator, doing it all myself, and really making the name and the vision of Last Ride Detailing turn into more of oh, wow, okay, this guy is a serious detailer. He's a pro. He can run with the big boys, and other companies are keeping an eye on him now, which is what's been happening a lot.
Yeah, and I definitely have noticed too, because I try to keep an eye on all social media stuff, especially people who've come on the podcast. I try to keep an eye on everybody and what everyone's up to, and I try to like all the posts that I see and try to at least support the best way that I can. And the way that I always have shown my support is being a social media person. So I try to be on top of that and doing that, and just basically this last year since the podcast, I'm trying to think of all the stuff that all the different conversations that I've had too. It's kind of crazy to think that so much has been happening, but it's almost sometimes it goes back to my last week's episode. Sometimes you almost feel like that stuck feeling where things aren't always progressing. And that's something that we talked for, what time is it? 8:30 right now. Yeah, obviously you guys will hear this on Monday, but we talked for it was definitely well over an hour. So, yeah. And that's the part that I value so much about these conversations, is because you guys don't always see or hear the stuff before and the stuff after. And that's the stuff that where you're really catching up with people. You're seeing where people are at. You're checking on their actual lives. And that's why I really enjoy doing a podcast and connecting with people, especially like yourself, who have come back. And that shows that I offer something that's valuable, that people enjoy the experience, that you're getting a platform to, one, promote your business, and two, we got to have a real life conversation for people to actually digest.
Exactly. And that's really what I like. That's what I loved. And that's why I wanted to come back because everyone's so busy, especially you and myself. We'll link up, say, oh, hey, let's go do a shoot. And then we won't talk for 8 months because we're all just all over the place. We're busy. That's what being adults all about. But it's nice to be able to come back, sit down, and be able to hold a conversation like nothing's changed. And that's what I like about a lot of my friends, too. A lot of my friends, as I've grown older, some have kids, some are married, some own businesses, some have moved, you know. It's really nice to be able to kind of tune back and say, okay, well, we can pick up right where we left off, go grab a beer somewhere local, and just shoot the shit for an hour, 2 hours. That's what I appreciate more than going out and doing stupid stuff.
No, I would definitely agree to that too, because especially more recently too, I've kind of just been in the space of just like, I'm gonna just do my thing and like be by myself, and like I'm trying to create this space for myself to kind of really grow. And I don't think sometimes hanging around with people consistently all the time is great for your mental health. At least for me, I'm a very more introverted person. And I sometimes feel if I'm hanging out with people over and over and over that I'm being drained. And I just don't like that.
Having a repetitive life isn't a great thing. And that's kind of why I wanted to start my own business. And that's why, honestly, the fire department was something that I absolutely fell in love with to the point that now I'm going back, and it's simply because repetitiveness. I can't do repetitive. Day in, wake up. I can tell you my day from start to finish every single day before I left and went on vacation. I wake up at 6:30. I sit in the living room. I make a cup of coffee. I turn the TV on from 7 to 7:30. Once the news is over and that weird, like, Judge Judy show, whatever comes on, I turn it off, finish my coffee, get dressed, and I leave to go to work. I get there for about 8:30. I sweep or I unlock everything. I sit and wait for my first appointment. I do that car, take some before pictures, do the car, take after pictures, clean up my mess that I've made, leave, go home, I shower, go to the gym, go back home, I cook dinner, me and my girlfriend eat, and I go to bed. I can't do that. I hate that because I feel like it's just robotic, and I can't do that. I have to have diversity in my workday, and that's kind of why I like the detailing too, because one day it can be a woman, a single mom who needs her car cleaned, and I'll give her a discount, or I'll sneak a deal in there so she doesn't have to pay as much, and that makes her day, Or I have one of the 4 or 5 Patriots players that I have in my phone text me, hey, how you doing, John? How's everything going? Shoot the shit for a couple minutes, book an appointment, and I go pick up his car. That's what I like about this. And that's what I like about living the life that I have now. And that's why I don't want to change it. And I'm trying to grow it to the fact that I can potentially not have to work anymore. I'll go from owner operator to managerial, and I continue my life to the next business adventure.
Yeah, no, and that's definitely the mindset that you want to have in a business that you do have, because it's always about constant growth and taking things to that next place. And the only way to do that is to continue looking for opportunities. And I think that's where a lot of people get stuck or get confused, because they get kind of stuck in place, almost stuck in neutral, where they get comfortable with the life that they're living. They're comfortable with the income that they're getting, or maybe they're in a really healthy relationship and they're dissatisfied with where they're at, and they don't really want to take that next growth opportunity, because it is scary to grow. It is scary to take things to the next step, because the outcome is uncertainty.
Exactly. If you want to be successful, and this is coming from what I've learned, you can't be comfortable. You have to be uncomfortable every minute of the day in order to be successful. I could have stayed with the fire department making the wage that I made, and it wasn't a bad wage. I was happy. I had the job of my dreams. I just met my girlfriend at the time. I had my house. I had a nice car. I had this, that, and the other. But I wanted more. I want to see 6 figures going into my bank account. I want to see vacations 2 times a year. I want to see a condo in New Hampshire or Florida. I want to see those things, and I want to see that accomplishment in my life. So in order to do that, you have to put yourself in an uncomfortable predicament. And a lot of people think that uncomfortable predicament is something that's going to ruin your life. It's not. It's uncomfortable. It's annoying, but it just makes the accomplishment so much sweeter. Like right now I have the detailing business going full force. We're working on another business. I'm working on a venue style business. coming from someone who was a bouncer for 5 years. I hate nightclubs. I want to open, not a club, but I want to open a venue. Doing that, I'm back in EMS school because I have to get my licenses. I'm taking a course for life insurance. I'm taking sales courses because on my days off where I don't have cars in every day, which does happen in my career path, I'll be busy for 2 weeks and then dead for a week and a half. So you have to budget money. It's like landscaping.
Yeah.
So in that off time, I'm going to get into sales. And I feel like I'm a very good salesman because I don't harass people like salesmen do. I say, hey, this is what I offer. This is what it'll provide. These are the pros. These are the cons. And these are the benefits. If you want to go for it. And then 9 times out of 10, I get a call back. Or at least sell my product, which is my detailing. So if I do all of that, I'll be good to go and I'll be happy. Hopefully at that point, I'll actually be able to settle down and stay at my own pace of successfulness that I want.
Yeah, no, and it's good that you are in that mindset where you're looking. Your mindset is forward thinking, and I don't think everyone is always like that. Like they kind of see things and part of this too. I even think about this when I talk about relationships with people because obviously, like if you guys watch me on TikTok and stuff, I'm more relationship based, and my mindset. Maybe it's because I'm getting older. I look at things like, I don't care about this hookup culture that we have in this generation and everything. So here or there in the talking stage, the situation, all these fucking bullshit. People are you got to be intentional with anything that you do. And especially with dating, especially with your life and your career, you have to be intentional. If you're not intentional with what you want to do, you're going to fail almost 90% of the time.
Exactly. You have to put 100% into what you want. I mean, and for the new dating culture that's in our generation, in our age group now, put it this way. My girlfriend is a few years older than me. She's in an older bracket. And anytime we talk to our friends about when we started talking, as you and I would call it, ours is like, oh yeah, we're talking. It's nothing crazy. Her, it was like, oh yeah, no, we were seeing each other. Just those two different words it just makes the entire dating scene, it's two separate entities.
Yeah.
Because in our generation, we're talking, you're talking to me, but you're also talking to three other, it's like The Bachelor.
Yeah.
In her generation, in her time frame, you're seeing each other. You're not focusing on 2 or 3 different people. You're seeing someone because you have the intention of trying to be with them and you want to see where it goes. And that's the culture that I like. That's the culture that I was brought up on because I didn't have my mom and dad as much. I had a 77-year-old grandmother who was Italian and she got married once and that was it. So when I tell her I'm seeing these girls, and for a small time it was, I met my ex, broke up. I saw one girl, saw another girl. I bounced around like 3 or 4 girls in like 8 months of just trying to see where it goes.
Yeah.
Then I met my current one. And I was like, oh, I'm going out on a date. I'm taking her out. Oh, she's coming over. I'm cooking us dinner, yada, yada. She's like, you're a whore. I'm like, oh, Jesus Christ. I'm like, no, I'm not, Grandma. I was like, listen, just because dating was weird in the Prohibition doesn't mean that I'm a sexual deviant. Leave me alone.
It's unfortunately, it's become that because of social media too, because it's always the grass is greener on the other side. There's always another option. There's always one swipe away from finding your fucking next match. And
exactly.
It's
you can date on your couch. Yeah. Or you can try dating on your couch. To me, that's not it. Like, how do I explain this? Because I'm such an open, talkative person, even my girlfriend gets mad. Because I'll start a conversation with anybody. I don't care if you're a guy, girl. I don't care if you're hot. I don't care if you look like a pig's ass. I just start conversations because I like to. I like to talk. I like to conversate, get to know people. She even said it when we were in Tennessee, when we were in Nashville. Anybody we met, within 5 minutes, they knew our life story. Because we were just talking, and that's what it's all about, getting to know people, talking. And what winds up happening, I think, now is because it's so easy as at a swift of a button, all you got to hear is this noise, and then click. Now you have an unlimited potential to meet people. And I think that's a problem. I think it's just something else that our generation took for granted.
Yeah, we're going to have to learn how to deal with this because it is an issue. And, I pay attention to this stuff because I look at dating podcasts, I read about it, and, the divorce rate's at 54%. There's more single people. I think they're predicting people are going to be more single than ever before in the near future, the next 10 to 15 years. Yeah. And more people, the joke on these dating podcasts is invest in Chewy because people are going to be fucking single with dogs and cats. And it's sad because we've almost sold this lie to people that you should be chasing your career and focused on all these things. And these are positive things.
Yep.
But what really drives a lot of people is family.
Yeah.
Creating family is, I mean, people can argue with this, but I think one of the main purposes we are here on Earth is to procreate and extend the species. Like that is kind of where, when you break it down to just biology, we are animals. Like,
exactly.
So we are looking to push ourselves forward. The only way to do that is to have children.
Exactly.
So I don't know if it's just because I'm coming closer and closer, creeping to 30, but like that mindset of just children is like there. Like I would want a family. I want to have kids. And I know it's people are like, who wants to have kids in a time like this? Like, when has there ever been a good time to really have kids? Like, Let's be honest.
There's never a good time.
Like, there's always chaos.
In the past 40 years, we've had what, three wars and two and two economic recessions.
Facts.
There's never a good time to have kids. You know, it's when you want to. Like, and that's the thing. Coming from me, I didn't have the stereotypical family life. You know, not to talk negatively on my parents. God rest my mom's soul, and my dad being who he is now. I didn't have the fun family that a lot of people around, and especially in Seekonk, did. Majority of people's parents were married, wealthy, or well off. They took vacations twice a year. Christmas, there was presents always under the tree. You know, you always had family Christmas, Thanksgiving dinner, New Year's Eve. The whole family got together. For fuck's sake, Easter. Apparently, that's a thing. I never knew that because I never experienced it. You know, so I never really had the close family bond that a lot of my friends had or have. And even my girlfriend has it with her family, and it's Chinese to me. I don't get it. You know, she's like, oh, I got to go do something for my parents, and they've had a very volatile history. And I'm like, why? Oh, because they're my family. I was like, yeah, so. I was like, I don't, you know what I mean?
And that's a mindset a lot of people have, though.
Exactly. And so now that's what I'm trying to do is to be more of a loving family person myself with my family that I have left, because most of them have passed on. But that's the biggest thing. I didn't get to have that with my parents. I want to have a kid with a woman who I think would make an absolutely outstanding mother. I think I would make a damn good dad.
I think you would too.
I'm big and scary, but I mean, as long as you get past that part, a kid hands me a toy cell phone, I answer it.
That makes a good dad, though.
Exactly. You know, so we can do all that, and I wanna give someone the stuff that I couldn't have, and that's another reason why I'm so driven to open these businesses and become wealthy. Like I said it to my grandmother, and I said it to my girlfriend and all my friends. In the next, I'm 27. By 30, I want to not have to work anymore. And I made a promise to my grandmother that one day I'm going to roll up in a Bentley and she's going to get a Bentley. That's what I want to do. Not for a clout thing, not for a, oh, look at me, I have money thing. Because the amount of money my grandmother and the amount of time and wealth and everything that she put into me, there's nothing in the world that I could give her to ever repay that. So I want to repay her with something that I know she loves, and she loves those older luxury cars, and that's what I want to do. That's my goal. In the next 3 years, I want to be able to be wealthy enough that I can roll up with a Bentley and give it to my grandma.
No, I fully believe that you could do that too, especially with the work ethic that you've put in. Like, and I think we talked about this in the first podcast, that you've been so willing to, like, you're okay with failure. If you're gonna fail at something, it's okay to embrace that. Like, and I think that is how you become successful. Like, being able to stand in front of uncertainty, be like, I don't care what's gonna happen, I'm gonna make it through this.
Exactly. And I think I said it last podcast, I'll say it again. Thomas Jefferson, when asked about making the light bulb, he says, I learned 1,000 and some odd ways to not make a light bulb, but it only took me one way to learn how to. That's what business is. And a lot of people think, because you see all these kids who are influencers now, and they're on TikTok, not even on TikTok, but mostly like Instagram, where the big money is. You see YouTube all these too. So you see all these people coming out with there's a kid making $4 million playing with Legos, and I'm cleaning a car for $300. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, it's intimidating. It's sad. I think that really dumbed down and really broke down the thought and the drive to become an entrepreneur. Because it's just so easy, not to jab anybody, but so easy to open up an OnlyFans, so easy to do this, so easy to do that. What's the point of working hard? Why should I be busting my tail working in a shop where I'm getting charged $2,500 a month in one of the crappiest areas in the state, when somebody who doesn't deserve it could do something so easy?
No, that's facts. I think that's not. I don't think that's a controversial statement either. Like, and it kind of opens your eyes though too. Like, right now too, hard work it's undervalued. People don't really care. I mean, look at our job climate right now. People don't want to do hard work.
Exactly. And I'm not hot either way, so I get buffed either way, but
No,
still.
I'm not either. So I have to use OnlyFans for the way it was actually supposed to be used for, like a Patreon. But
Yeah.
we don't have to dive into that. People found that site and were like, "Hey, we're gonna turn this into something else." Like,
Bet. Say less. It's like, oh, all right, cool.
but like the whole culture and like going off of like what you're saying too is like you want to provide though, and like that drive. I think one, it's a masculine drive too. That's kind of just built into us biologically that we want to provide as males, and if you don't, that will raise some eyebrows for me. I'm not gonna lie. I think there's some biological urge because I feel the same urge that I want to provide. Like, and I come from a family that took vacations that I was able to get most of the stuff I wanted, and like my parents are still together, and I know how lucky I am to have that by interviewing so many different people.
And the thing is, you take advantage of it too. The conversations that we have before we roll and after we roll, I respect the fact of what you're willing to do for your family. It's stuff that you don't want to do, something that you don't feel right doing. So this, that, and the other thing. You do it because for no other reason than family. And I think that's much more of a respectable thing than saying, oh, I just wanted to do it, or oh, I have to do it. You know, like, no, I need to do it for my family. And the most funny thing is the whole, like, I absolutely have a masculine urge to take care of everybody. That whole vacation I went on, I told you how much I spent. I paid that every cent out of my pocket. No matter what the bill was, I was like, I just kind of threw my card on the table, you know? But I'll tell you one thing. I met a girl who is the hardest worker I ever met. You know, she really is. She gets depressed when she doesn't work for more than a week. Literally depressed. I've only thought I was like that. You know, she is a hard worker, and I'll tell you something, she's making damn good and damn close to me, money-wise, you know? And I respect her so much for it, and it's a nice feeling because she's never had that either. She's always had guys that have been, like, bare minimum and get mad at her for doing something to the fact that she has to stop making money in order for them to feel better.
That's the problem in our society right now is that's where a lot of men are falling behind. And I honestly, this might be a controversial statement. I think it's part of this because of this equality bullshit. Because it's allowed men to take a step back when it should have been we all take steps forward.
Exactly.
And now women are out earning men in a lot of places. People want to argue wage gap, and I'm not going to get into that. That's the topic. I don't even want to get into that. I mean, Jordan, you can go listen to Jordan Peterson debunk that, but like we're not going to get into that. But when because like if you look at schools too, most of the enrollees are women. So most of the women are coming up now are very educated and they're earning great money, which is awesome. It's fantastic that we're progressing in that field. But men are dropping out. Men are falling behind now, and it's on guys. It's on us.
Oh yeah.
And I think a lot of us need to get checked a little bit in terms too of the mental health stuff because some of us have a lot of trauma that we're not dealing with, and it's affecting people's mental health and our ability to be motivated, to be driven. And there's probably a lot of other things too. You could talk about the food we eat, the lack of exercise, like all the fucking pharmaceuticals that we take. Like
it's a never-ending chain. It's just a whole collective of negativity that's happening.
But at the end of the day, we can list all these excuses, but at the end of the day, men need to step up.
Exactly, they need to. And I saw something online. There's a girl who's a good friend of mine. Was a good friend. We've separated because that was when I was working in the nightclub scene. She stuck with it because she can. She was making great money. And I obviously went my route. So I wound up, I see her online now. And I see a lot of different stuff online. There's something that she put up. It was like, men should be submissive and breedable or something like that. I'm like, what the fuck is that?
That's that. I hate that shit. Like,
I'm like, hell no. Like, I'm not going to be told when to lay down. No. And this is how it is with me and my girl. Not to go back to that or keep going back to that. But me and my girlfriend, I made a very clear line. I'm like, listen, at the end of the day, we each wear a pant. We each wear the pants. Each of us have a leg. But at the end of the day, you know that if something's going on, I'm the one that's taking control. You know, when I need to, I will. But other than that, you want to go make more money? Go. I want you to. Because my thing is, now that I'm older and everything, and now that I see, like, I've been in and out of relationships, I couldn't get a girlfriend to save my life, this, that, and the other, I see that relationships aren't always solid. You never know what's going to happen one day or the next. Mm-hmm. Whether it's my choice, whether it's her choice. If we were to ever split up, I want to make sure that she's okay. You know, when we first met, she was getting out of a job. She was starting to transition, becoming more of a successful person. And she was like, oh, well, I want to do this, but I don't know. I'm scared. She never had any support. I said, do it. She's like, you're not going to be mad? I was like, honey, I don't care if you make more than me. If I have to take a break for a couple of weeks, I'm more than happy to. But I'm going to make sure that I keep up with you, do better, do just as good. We're in this together. A relationship is a two-part system. 50-50. Well, it's 100-100. But you do have to work, I do have to work.
Yeah,
That's how it is.
I think people get offended by putting roles on what we all provide to a relationship, because we all bring different things to a relationship.
Exactly.
But it's become almost negative when a man will step forward and put down these boundaries of what he expects out of a relationship because of where we come from in the past. And it's understandable, but it's causing issues in relationship because now we have a lot of men, whether it's insecurities or they don't feel as masculine, because a lot of men are more feminine than they used to be.
Oh, yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that necessarily, but like when you throw it into a relationship, a lot of times when you're talking about heterosexual relationships, a lot of women are looking for a masculine man. So we're having a disconnect, and there's so many different issues there, and it's. I think the overall point what I was going to make is tying it back to the family stuff was I want to be that provider like you're talking about, and that's part of the reason I've done this podcast. Was I want to create something that when I eventually have kids, they can look back at it and like, you can do whatever you want to do. There's ways to do it, and there's respectable ways to do it, and I'm trying to create a path where they could see that, hey, my dad was willing to put himself out there in public in a time when social media was just starting to really come up and like things were chaotic, and he still did his job. He still worked hard, because everything that I want to do, I want to take it further than what my family did. And I had a great life, and I'm not complaining about my life, but like I see the work that my dad came from, because especially my mom too. My mom came from a poor ass Portuguese family, and my dad had a kid early on. I had my older brother, and he had to struggle, got divorced early on, met my mom, and he had to go back to school to get the job he has now. And if he didn't do that, I wouldn't have been able to get to the positions that I've had. And seeing that and like actually seeing it now that I'm older, I want to have those opportunities for my kids, and people can call it privilege. I want my kids to have some of that privilege. I want them to have that opportunities that I didn't have. And I've had great opportunities. It's the continued elevation of a generational like name almost. And like, maybe it's a Game of Thrones thing. I want to pass on that name.
No, but like you said, that's biological, because I say the same thing, because me and my girlfriend, that's been a big discussion with us as children. She's always lived alone. She's always done her own thing. She's always been independent and able to. She's like, I'm scared to have kids, even at her age. And I said, well, I'm scared too, but I want my name to continue.
Yeah, same.
I want to have a legacy that my kid can look back on. I want my kid to be my legacy.
Yeah.
You know? And I think that's the biggest issue right now is a lot of people call it privilege. They want you to feel bad for doing what you do. I'm not going to be called privileged because I have a nice truck, because I have a nice phone, I have a nice wallet, I wear nice clothes, I have a nice house or an apartment, or whatever the hell I have. You're not going to make me feel bad for that. Because all of this stuff that's going around now, all the social justice stuff, this, that, and the other, no one's going to make me feel bad about how hard I worked. Where my business is in Providence, I am the only Caucasian man in that general area. And you want to know something? There's a gentleman that lives right across from my shop. Nicest guy in the world. I don't even know his name. We've never been on a first name basis. But every morning he's out there with a cup of coffee, playing on his phone, because I hear it, and he plays Candy Crush every day. And he always waves at me. Hey, man, how are you? I'm like, hey, sir, how you doing? Da-da-da. I vacuumed his car. He spilt something in there. I think it was coffee or something he spilt in there. He said, hey, I know you do this. Can you help me out? I did it for him for free, because he's a nice guy. He always waves at me. He always says hi. He's brought me over water. He's brought me over tea, brought me over beer. He's a nice dude. All the guys next door to me, there's 3 businesses that are owned by one guy, but they're all co-owned, partnered with other Hispanic gentlemen in the area, in Providence. My landlord he's African. He's from Africa, and he opened up this business. He opened up multiple businesses, and he was able to bring his family over from Africa and employ them, and now everyone can eat. You know, I sit and have beers with these guys. I sit in my shop at 10, 12 at night, hanging out with them, drinking beer, talking about what we're doing, talking about all this kind of stuff. We're all the same. So you telling me that I should feel privileged and I should feel bad for working to get where I got, that's complete horse crap, because statistically, I should be the only one that's making money on that strip of businesses. I should be the only one that's rich. I should be the only one making money. Half these guys are making double what I make, and I'm doing pretty goddamn good for myself. So don't you dare tell me that I have to feel privileged, or I am privileged and I should feel bad about what I'm doing or how much I'm making because I'm white. because these guys are blowing me out of the water, and they've scratched my back and helped me just as much as I've helped them.
No, that's facts.
You know?
And that's part of the discussion. We live right now in a time where we're being divided on almost every single issue that there is out there. And like, I wanted to talk about this as like the whole kind of ties into like this whole Joe Rogan stuff. I know you guys have listened to me talk, and I'm very vocal about my support of Joe Rogan. I mean, he's almost the reason I have the podcast. I mean, if you look at my name, the Carroll Connection, his is the Joe Rogan Experience. It's very similar. Like, it's my inspiration was him, listening to the variety of people he would talk to, the diversity of the people he would talk to, at the depth at which he would talk to, unmatched by any podcasts that I've ever listened to. Yeah. And the way that the media has been able to just take clips, and we don't condone the actions of what he said.
No.
Like, it shouldn't, in hindsight, I mean, obviously you go back 10 years, things are completely different. Things are being said that probably shouldn't have been said, and we obviously make corrections for that. But to hold him accountable for that and to try to cancel and silence his voice is it's just unacceptable. And I don't agree with silencing people's voice when you don't agree with them. Or if anything, you correct bad speech with better speech.
Exactly.
And you open up the conversations to correct these things. You'd be like, hey man, like you sit down one-on-one and be like, you would have these conversations that we don't appreciate you saying this. Maybe we learn from that. And he came out and apologized on top of that. Yeah. And if you actually listen to his podcast, he's glad this stuff came out because he's felt bad that it's been out there for so long, and he can be able to apologize on a public platform and have people recognize that and see that. And like, I just get so angry that people just who have never listened to one Rogan podcast will be on social media saying he's a right wing or he's this and he's that, and like he's none of those things. He's one of the nicest dudes if you actually listen to a podcast.
It's hypocrisy. That's what it really is. Because you want to know something, and I have friends of every race, every nationality. You name it, I probably have a couple of friends like that. Put it this way. Everyone thinks, because a lot of certain people, they think that I'm a very Republican, conservative, political guy. Little fun fact, little backstory. So me and a few of my friends, a couple of them that you actually know as well, we were all playing cards one night, and the gentleman you don't know, now this was all like 2021. We were all playing cards, and he put the cards down, and he says, guys, I have to tell you something. We said, okay, what's up? And he said, well, I want to let you know that I'm gay. We all kind of looked at each other, we're like, yeah, we already knew. He's like, you did? I'm like, yeah, it's not hard to hide. Like, it's not hard to see. We don't care. You're our friend. We don't care about that. So long story short, we went back. He said, that really makes me feel good. He teared up. We all teared up. Great bonding experience. A couple hours later, we all looked at each other and we said, you know what? We said, hey, because you came out, let's go out tonight. It's a Saturday night. We're just playing cards. I don't feel like playing cards anymore because I don't know how to play cards. I've been staring at them, and I probably lost like 4 really good hands, and I had no freaking idea. We said, let's go out. And I said, where do you want to go? We said, anywhere you want. He was like, anywhere you want? We were like, yeah, anywhere you want. He was like, and at the time, Ego in Providence, that was I don't know if it's still there, but that was a big gay bar. He said, can we go to Ego? I'm like, yeah, sure, we don't care, whatever, we'll support you. He's like, really? I'm like, yeah, let's go. So we wound up going. Now me, I just looked like a hick. And then everyone else was nicely dressed. I came to this attire in like a beat-up t-shirt and jeans, so I looked like a redneck. We all walk in, and we experienced that night with him. You know, I had guys come up to me, hit on me, hey, guys, I'm straight, I'm here for my friend, I don't want to be bothered. I'll have a drink with you, we'll shoot the shit, but I'm not like that. Okay, cool. I made 3 different friends that I still hang out with to this day from that. You know? I'm not the kind of person to judge anyone for who they are. I judge them by the moral of their character. If you are a stand-up person and you are nice to me and you treat me with the respect that I want, you respect my views, I respect your views, you happen to be transgender, okay, whatever. Yeah. You know, it's whatever you want to be. You know, I'm not going to infringe on your life, you don't infringe on mine. And that's what I think the biggest problem is with the country now, is that everyone is misinterpreting freedom as feelings freedom. I call it feeling freedom. You feel a certain way, so it's set in gold. No, it's not. I'm sorry, it's not. You know, racism is bad. You know, it doesn't matter what color you are. Nobody should be disrespecting someone else because of the color of their skin.
Yeah. Sexism, okay. You go down the list.
You know what I mean? So racism is bad. Do you know a way to stop it? And I'm asking you as a person. Do you know how to stop it?
I don't have the answer.
I don't have the answer either. And I'll tell you right now, half the people that you talk to who are so against it and fighting about it don't have an answer either. You want to know what'll fix it? Learning diverse cultures. Now, I'm not saying it should be forced in schools. I'm not saying it should be forced to people. It shouldn't be something that's forced. But I'll tell you something right now. Coming from someone myself, I loved learning about different cultures. I would have loved to take in a course in high school, an elective or whatever they called it, because I forgot.
Yeah, no, it's
I would have loved to take an elective about cultural diversity, to learn about
That'd be a
different
great
cultures.
class, to be
I think it
honest.
would be fantastic. You want to do that? You teach people that, hey, this is how the world is. This is how you change it. You know, this is what different people have to bring to the table. And then I feel those collective minds could then in turn figure out, okay, so this is what's bad about this culture. This is what's bad about this one. This is what's good about this one. This is what's bad. This is how we...
It's the two sides to every story. And
Exactly.
It all happens with conversation. And then it goes back to what I was saying. Like, if you shut the conversation off, nothing can progress.
Exactly.
And you're only hearing one side, and that's my anger with this all, especially as being a podcaster who's emphasizing voice and speech and like the way like words have meaning. Like I
Exactly.
don't know where we got into a society where things just don't mean anything.
Yeah, words are words. No.
Like words are your power.
Exactly.
Like, especially as like men, we need to learn how to speak better, how to write better, how to think better.
Yep.
And like the only way to do these things is to practice. And a lot of people, quite frankly, don't know how to do it. And I'm telling you, like, from my experience, being a man that has gone to therapy and has gone down that path, learning how to journal, how to meditate, how to express myself a lot better, to come on a podcast, to have conversations that get deep and that get into can get into controversial topics, like, and to not be afraid to have dialogue with people who might have different opinions. Like, you need to have these conversations and you learn from people that way.
Yep.
You don't learn necessarily sometimes with having the conversation with people who agree with you, because you're just pushing the same narrative back and forth, and it doesn't progress anything.
Exactly.
It reaffirms what you already believe, and sometimes that can push you towards a radical side, whether it's left, right, moderate. Who gives a fuck?
Because that's what they look for. They look at have their feelings affirmed, and when it's not confirmed, and you say something and you get backlash for it because it's not right or facts say otherwise, time to get rid of it because it doesn't matter. Dude, I am uneducated. I am a high school dropout who got his GED. I shouldn't be where I am. Like you said earlier, I'm a very small statistic. You want to know that half the people I talk to don't even know that I dropped out? New people I meet, my customers, people I talk to on the phone. Because half the time I like to have a good personal conversation with my customers, either before they drop the car off or after. I like to get to know them. I like to get to know them. I like to have that family bond, like at a barber shop. Everyone's like, oh, hey, here comes so-and-so, and they can all sit and hang out. That's what I like to do. Because I feel when you have that personal bond with a customer, first off, that's what small business is based on. You see half that restaurant down the street. I forgot the name of it, right next to the gas station, right?
Nicoletti's?
Yeah, no, further up. Maybe further up this way. I'm sorry.
That way.
Oh God, it's a small little diner, regardless of, or Country Kitchen. We'll even say that Country Kitchen over there on 44.
Yeah.
Everyone goes there. They all know each other. They're all old timers from the town. They make a goddamn killing just because they know people, because they have that good bond. But that is, like, going back to what I was saying, I'm technically uneducated. I'm an idiot in the eyes of...
Based on some people's standards.
Exactly. I'm a complete freaking moron. But, I just lost what I was going to say. I'm sorry.
I'll go off that because
Yeah.
because I'm the same. I'm like, I want to be educated. If I'm wrong on something and you think I'm wrong on something, tell me. Like, I'm down to like have a conversation. I'm not going to shut you off or if I don't agree with you. Like, I'll hear you out. And if we come to the consensus, hey, maybe we just don't agree on this topic. Hey, no differences. And like, I'm not going to hate you as a person. Like,
And that's what it's come down to.
and that's the thing. Like, it's like if you believe a certain thing and it's different from what I believe, it's like, I hate you. It's like, no, I don't hate you. It's like, you can believe what you want to believe, and that's your preference. I'm not going to tell you what you want. We can have a dialogue and have a discussion. It can be healthy. And you might agree with something that I say, and I might agree with something you say. And they're like, hey, I actually see where you're coming from on that. And that's where progress is made.
Exactly.
Like, it's frustrating in the
Nobody
time.
wants to do that now. The battle line's drawn. But also, so what I was getting to was the fact of, in the eyes of people, I am completely uneducated, and I'm not someone who should be successful. I've taught myself how to talk correctly, how to use big words. That's what you have to do. You teach yourself how to act a certain way. Nobody's going to tell you. Nobody should tell you how to act. Nobody's going to tell me how to act. I'm going to act any way I damn well please. But you hold yourself to a standard. I've learned how to talk, like you said. People got men, women, anybody need to learn how to talk, learn how to present themselves, learn how to write. You want to know the worst thing that I don't know how to do? I still don't know how to write a damn email to save my life. That's the only thing I don't know how to do.
I write too many damn emails, dude. Like, I'm so sick of writing emails.
But that's why it's so hard because, everyone wants handouts, it seems like now. They just want handouts.
I mean, and that comes with the whole social media thing. It's the instant gratification. That's what people want, is they want it right now. And like, I'm even a victim of that too. Like, especially with TikTok, like that's the worst app for it, to be honest. And like, because I could post a video and I could have instant likes, like off the rip, and I can go viral off like within like less than like 24 hours. And like, that's the craziness of that app. And going into like the mental health aspect of this is like, it makes you compare yourself to people, and it destroys your own personal like self-worth sometimes. And I fall into that space too, when like, even if I look at my physical body compared to some people, I'm a shorter dude. Like I've definitely dealt with that for a long time, is like, I would compare myself, and like, that was something that I was insecure about for a long time. And like, with football, that was a place where I was able to like, I'm going to prove myself. Yeah. And like, that changed my whole mindset. If I never had that sport and that opportunity to like compete with everybody and show my worth, I don't know the type of person I would be right now. Yeah. So like, and that was with social media. So like, as couldn't even imagine some of these kids now when like they're growing up, like it's already part of the culture. So like,
exactly,
the mental health right now of like people in general is like very, very low. And like, that's why I want to have a platform that can like talk about these things. We mentioned it throughout the podcast too, especially with, I always try to target men because obviously I'm a man, for one, and two, like, people don't give a fuck about men's mental health. They don't. Like, we could say it, we could post on it on social media, but like, when push comes to shove, people are intimidated and not attracted to it. It's a complete turn off for people. People don't want to hear about men's problems. People they don't give a fuck. Yeah. And like, I've been seeing more and more men start to speak up about this, because people said we want men to talk about their feelings. We encourage that. But then when men do talk about it, we're shamed for it immediately.
Oh God, yeah. And like, if it's not what people want to hear.
No one wants to hear about a man complain.
Exactly. Because then they're not working hard enough. They're not trying hard enough. They're not mentally able to take care of somebody. And that's what kind of aggravates me with a lot of women in this generation. Not in future generations, this generation, between my age to, I'll say, 24, because that's where a lot of people start to build their lives. They want to be independent, strong, can make their own money, and they don't need anyone to support. But if you don't bring 6 figures, a certain height, a certain weight, and a certain car, you can't take care of me, and then they try to shit on you for it. Like, who the hell do you think you are? Who do you think you are? And that's another thing that I think the problem is with social media, because you have girls and guys, attractive, good-looking people who blow up quick because of their looks, because of their attributes, because of what God blessed them with, and they immediately think that they are successful.
Entitlement. Exactly.
They're entitled to it. They're like, oh, like I have another friend that is rather large on, I think, Instagram, Same thing. Every time we have a conversation, oh, I'm right. Oh, no, I do this. Oh, I knew that. Listen, just because you have 100 people follow you because you have an absolute dump truck of an ass does not mean that you know what you're talking about in my standpoint. I know what I'm talking about in my standpoint. From what I've seen, from what I've been through, from what I've done, all the past ventures I've taken, being a firefighter, helping in the hospitals, fighting through COVID, wearing PPE that wasn't assigned for me to go take care of people in COVID for the worst disease, for the worst pandemic in the history of our generation. You're telling me how I'm wrong and how I need to change my way, and how, because you saw something on social media from the news, that I'm wrong and I don't know what I'm talking about and you're right. Where's your fucking medical degree? Where's your degree on economics? Where's your degree on anything? Just because that you can funnel $5,000 every 3 weeks into your bank account from Instagram does not make you an accountant.
Facts.
You know?
And it also goes too, like, and I've seen a lot of people who will listen to someone like Joe Rogan and just spit what he says and has no facts behind it, and like it goes both ways, and like you can call shit out when shit's dumb, and it's like I see a bunch of dudes that I follow a bunch of Joe Rogan pages because I like to stay up to date on some of the stuff, and I like to hear what other people think about his episodes because when you look at the numbers, he gets like 11 million per show. Like that's fucking crazy. Like people just say what they hear on a podcast and like they run with it, and it's like you should probably dig a little deeper on these things. And
that's the media too. That's why
same thing.
I don't watch the media. You want to know the only thing I go on my phone, on Instagram, TikTok, stuff like that. I am doing nothing but looking at dogs and cars. That's really it.
Like, you know? Like I try to limit the stuff that, because like I'm aware, especially how invested I am into social media, the power of the algorithms.
Oh yeah.
Like people understand, but I don't think they really understand like how much what you see is what you really want to see.
Yeah.
Like people, I see all this divisiveness on social media, blah, blah, blah. Like it's because you're engaging with that. You don't have to like it for it to keep coming on your page. Exactly. If you're clicking on the post or you're clicking on a video or you're watching the video through its entirety, you're going to get more of that content. That's just how it works.
Exactly.
They want to keep you on the apps longer, and they're going to give you content that 9 times out of 10 is more divisive. So if you're creating content in general, stick to what you want to push out in general. So when I'm posting content, I try to find, whether it's TikTok, I look for more relationship videos, and I will purposely like the video. I don't even watch them. I purposely will like them because I know it's going to keep giving me those videos, and it helps me with my content.
Exactly.
With this podcast, I constantly look for like other podcasts that are motivational or quotes that are motivational. So when I'm on my podcast page, that's what I see. And anyone that follows me on the podcast page, I always like their stuff. So I'm always seeing my follower stuff.
Exactly.
So like I'm not looking, I don't care about the Instagram models. I don't care about, like, I'm personally not a car person, so I don't have the car stuff. Yeah. Like I'm personally not a dog person. Well, I'm a dog person, but like I'm not looking at dogs all the time. Yeah. But like you can get on your Instagram what you want to see on your Instagram. And that is like, I think the missing piece with a lot of people and their social media use is like, it goes back to what we've been saying the entire time, be intentional. Like you have to be intentional. Like if you're not intentional with the way you go about your life, you're going to live a completely meaningless life. And it might be a good life to you. And if that's the case, that's fine.
Exactly.
But for a lot of people, for like you and myself, that's not going to cut it. Like you have to be intentional with what you do, and I think that's a good message. That might end up being the title of this episode. I'm not gonna lie, being intentional, because everything has come back to that concept, and I think that's just like super important. I want to see where we are in time. All right, so we're definitely gonna start wrapping up on the podcast. Is there anything that you want to say to kind of leave with people? Kind of give them. Using my old question was like, and you've already answered it before. Is like, what would your advice be to someone who wants to pursue their passion? But you've already answered that, so we're not going to do that. So kind of, I'm going to give the floor to you, whether it's motivational, cliche, clingy, not clingy. Wow, I've watched too much relationship shit. But kind of give me in the audience a little bit of kind of inspiration to kind of wrap up this episode, and then I'll give my closings.
So, inspirational.
Whatever you're feeling.
So pretty much what you just said too, intentional. If you are not intentional with every move you make, you are not going to be successful. Yes, it's scary. Yes, it's dangerous. You want to move across the country. You want to start your own business. You want to get in a new career that you have no experience in. It's going to be scary. Life is scary. You can't make life easy. That's the best thing. That's something called fate. You can't control fate. And I even did it. I had a very hard time trying to control my own fate. I wanted to be firefighter my whole life until I realized that I switched my gaze to, I want to be rich. I want to be successful. I want to have more money than God so I can take care of all my friends and family. In order to do that, in order to be successful and take those leaps, you have to be intentional with everything you do. You have to make sacrifices. You have to make things that go against your fate, things that go against your gut feeling, and you have to be intentional with every move you make. If you just do something on a whim without thinking it through, yeah, you will fail. But failure is all part of life. You want to do something, make sure every move is like a chess game. It's all intentional. Perfect way to wrap up this podcast. John, I appreciate you coming on this podcast again. And like,
having these conversations. I actually really enjoyed this one because this has been something. These are the conversations that I actually really enjoy having. And now this is where I want to take the podcast too, is to have conversations that we can just talk about literally topics and just whatever we want to talk about. And we did a really good job of bouncing back off each other. And some people struggle with that. So it's nice to have someone that can actually have that dialogue. And I really appreciate you doing that and coming on this podcast once again. Again, you guys follow him, follow Last Ride. I'm going to be tagging both of the accounts in my Instagram post. But I just want to say again, appreciate you for coming on the podcast.
Thank you for having me, man. I love every time.
And we'll have another one too, maybe in another year. That's what we've been doing.
Absolutely,
so keep it going. For you guys, if you guys like the podcast, please rate, review, subscribe. If you want, share with your friends, share with your family, share with your grandma. You can check it out at thecarrollconnection.simplecast.com. Also available Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and all the major listening platforms. So until next time, guys, peace.